Hey everybody, welcome back, and this is episode 2 of Caller Concepts. So, actually, I'm recording this right after I finished the other one. I know I asked in that first video to please let me know if you liked it, so this is Go 2. I would love to know if you like this one as well. Obviously, if you're seeing this, there was some positive response to it, so maybe this one will be a little bit better as I've already done one. So today we're going to be going over setting the edge, which is a term I often use. And this is a term used to create the biggest angle of crossfire you can without using multiple groups of tanks. So we're trying to get a crossfire or make it easy to take out vehicles as quick as possible without splitting our forces. So in this scenario, I'm going to delete these two imaginary mountains, but this is, so we have horizontal and we have vertical versions of this. And actually an old caller, because again I don't come up with a lot of this stuff, taught me about acute versus obtuse angles when it comes to angles of fire or taking it out. So you want to have, let's see if I can't draw this in here, you want to have the wider angle of fire. So we're going to do this in blue, right? So nope, not that, none. So you want to have your, if you're able to spread your tanks out in a way like this, right, so that you can have vehicles out on the edge, right, now you have the wider angle of fire, and the enemy, if we look at our angle, ours is over 180 degrees, the enemy's is, nope, not that, the enemy's is much smaller. So that is for the horizontal, but right now we're going to go over the vertical. So when it comes to vertical, it's just taking out tanks front to back while mainly disregarding HP of vehicles. So normally we preach focus fire. However, in an instance like this, if you have, we're going to use a little exclamation mark. Let's say you have this vehicle back here. We're going to put a little exclamation mark. He's low health. So that's obviously, normally that right there, I can use this, is the vehicle, this guy right here, is the vehicle that we would want to take out. But in this scenario, he is going to probably hide, right? He's going to move back behind the corner, and then he's just going to poke out when he's loaded. So let's take this. That's not going to work. Anyway, you get the idea. Let's delete that. So trying to take out this vehicle right here, back here, would not be a good idea because you're going to get shot up. So instead, we're going to focus on all taking out one vehicle at a time. So we want to shoot the closest vehicle to us first, and we're going to just move down the line. So everybody's going to focus out this vehicle. Done. Right? And now we can move up. Right? Now let's say that now this is actually where some horizontal, so this will work out. This is where some horizontal aspects come in. So let's take a look at our next opportunities of targets. We have 1, 2, and 3. If we take out the middle guy, we don't change our angle. Again, we want to spread out as much as we can over the area we have to play with so that we can get crossfire. If we take this vehicle out, we may get closer to the one shot. However, that's not really going to do it much either because maybe there's TDs back here or something like that, but this vehicle is also going to be able to shoot. So we're going to take out this vehicle. And now maybe we lost one in the process. Our focus fire was a little bit better. What this allows us to do is now we can start to push out, right? And now we can start to wrap. And now we're getting that horizontal stretch that we can. Now, once we do that, the enemies are naturally going to start pulling back, right? Because they don't want to get surrounded, right? If we wrap like this, they know they're done. So the enemy's going to start pulling back, and that gives us opportunities. So we have fanned out, and now we can start hammering out these targets. What this also does is it allows us to concentrate our fire in one area. The enemies have to spread it out over a whole line of vehicles, and that's going to allow us to take out 1, 2, maybe we lose one in the process, and done. Now you can see how that was an effective way of getting vehicles out. If we don't do that, all we're going to do is just end up in a street fight. And you can see there, right? Let's reload this. Let's get 5 red vehicles. Right now, because we're in a choke point, and because we're not fanned out, we have vehicles that are stuck behind other vehicles, right? And this means that they're not going to get very effective shots. These tanks in front are going to be angling, wiggling back and forth, maybe face-hugging the vehicle in front of them. So we don't also necessarily have to take out vehicles. We can just stretch the field, and this is why the call push through is so important. So we can just start shoving tanks down this side, right? And now look at what we have. We have the same effect, right? We didn't take anybody out, but let's do this again. We jammed tanks through a gap. Remember, they're not going to be able to cover this whole side. We forced them through the gap, and maybe it's still like this, right? Maybe you still have a tank stuck back here. This guy didn't catch the gist, right? Now they're turning turrets. Nobody is really blocking each other. Maybe this guy moves up, and now this guy's got a clear shot. And again, these tanks are going to start to shrink back, right? And when they start to move back, all they're going to do is get in each other's way, right? What are they going to do? When you back up, you normally end up banging into each other. They're not going to back up and start spreading out. Let's fix that. They're going to back up, and then we're able to just stretch it further. That's another example. Let's reset it again. Now, this is the standard just push through and, get their turrets turning. So, let's say that, we're pushing. And this is why I always say leave a few tanks in the back to clean stuff up. We're going to just start. We're going to push a tank through here. We're going to push a tank through here. Right? We're going to just drive straight through the enemy. You can see it has a similar effect still. Right? The enemies are going to be backing up again. But we all know you cannot back up as fast as somebody who drives forward. It just doesn't happen. So now we also have them encircled. Right? These two, and this is why it's important that every tank doesn't push through. A lot of times we hear people shouting like, get out of the back, stop, get in here and push. However, what happens if every tank pushes through, right? We may also sort of have achieved it, but we don't really have the full encirclement, and now all of our asses are towards the enemy. If we're set up as to where, we've pushed a couple, maybe this guy got stuck, he's jammed up with this vehicle. We now have a much better encirclement of the enemy, and it allows these tanks and again, these are normally the low health ones. We don't want full health vehicles pushing through. Maybe they're on a ridge line. To effectively help out the tanks who push through and clean up all of those low health vehicles. Now, let's take a look at this on a larger scale. Alright, we're going to look at our standard strategy in this area, and we're just going to use a bunch of heavies for the enemy. I know it says EBR. Maybe they've got a few right here. Right, 29, 30. Alright. Not horribly unusual. Maybe they've got one vehicle over here. So let's take a look at the same example. We are on a front. And again, we can take into account stuff that we spoke about in the last video. We have a front right here. Right? The enemy also has their front. This is where the main battle is taking place. Everybody has 180 degrees. So, I don't know if you can spot, but again, remember, this is same as we spoke about that last video. The map coverage versus map control, right? We have control over, let's take a look here. We have control over this area. And you could also argue that we have control over this area. We have a decent force. We have 2 heavy tanks. We have a TD. We have a medium covering. And 2 heavy tanks covering that area. Right? And we have coverage on this side. Right? And here. And we actually have it all the way down here as well. But this is just coverage. So, obviously, we're not going to be pressing anything. This is not where we're looking. This is just to keep whatever they have over here at bay. And again, this is just for this scenario. We have control in 2 places. But how can we turn our flat angle into an obtuse angle? So more than 180 degrees. And right now what we're going to do, which I'm going to mark in green for our movement, is we're going to take the overmatch and press the advantage. So these vehicles right here, let's put an arrow. We are going to push them down into this. Now, normally what we're going to do actually is we're going to come straight to here, to this line, and then we're going to turn around and we're going to shoot those vehicles. This is a lot of what ifs, but again, they have 4 vehicles here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have a 2-to-1 advantage. So let's say we lose. We're going to move our vehicles down here, but we're going to lose. We're going to put 1 on the ridge line. 2 is supposed to be on the ridge line. 1 is going to die as he pokes up, and another vehicle is going to push over, and he's also going to get killed. So we're going to lose 2, and they're going to lose all 4, which is actually pretty standard. Alright, so now let's take a look at the angle that we have here. Right? We may also have this 180 degrees, but we also have is this. Oh, let's get rid of this. There's our larger angle we were talking about. Right? There's our obtuse angle, and let's take a look at their angle. Right? It's almost like we're drawing the front line. And key is front line. Now we have much better angles of fire on them. This is basically what we spoke about over here. We can almost mimic it with how we had it before. Let's get all these over. Right? But let's say that the reds are on this side this time. And again, this is very basic concept here, so I hope I'm not boring anybody. Right? The reds are down here. It's a little bit oriented differently. We pushed, maybe they have 2 in this area. We pushed hard down this way. Right? We took out this one vehicle, and now we're on their side. Right? So if we get these lines up again, that's theirs, and this is ours. Much bigger difference. And again, this allows us, if their vehicles are facing this way, right? That allows these tanks that push over to get side shots. So this right here is the concept of setting the edge. We've spoken about it both vertically and horizontally, and gone over it in a pretty standard method here or a strategy that we use against a defense that we often use. So I hope this has been useful for you. Again, if you like this style of video, please let me know. If you hate it, also let me know. Oh, I sound like Quickie Baby there, who also says that. And let me know if you have any suggestions. If this is a topic that you already know about, I would love to hear your opinion on it as well. So glad we could build on that last video, going over control and coverage. And again, you have to remember that this is coming from an average caller. I am not the world's best caller, not even close. I consider myself average, but these are the tactics that I think of when I call. So, hope you enjoyed this. This has gone on long enough, and if you've got any questions, let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.